Hey there, everybody. All right, let's talk about the Pentax DFA 21 millimeter f2.4 ED limited DCWR. So picked that up today, and first let me tell you about some top ramen here. It's called top ramen. It is called top ramen. This is soy sauce flavor. It's the same Oriental flavor. It used to be called Oriental flavor. I had to change the name. God knows why. It's now called soy sauce flavored. I remember when this crap was 10 cents a package. And I think I paid about 25 cents a piece for these. And they're $1 a piece now. So, yeah, and my point is everything's going up cost-wise. And so, camera equipment hasn't yet. Although I bought a PhotoFlex changing tent thing that was, I paid 83 bucks for it, and 2 weeks later it's $97. So it's starting. Yeah, this lens, Pentax ran a sale, and it was 100 bucks off. Still not cheap, and that's one of the negative points to this lens is it's damn expensive for a Pentax lens. It's a good lens, it's quality, I mean, it's made really nice, but 1,300 quid and a 1,400 not on sale. That's a lot of dosh. So, yeah, is it worth it? Well, this has been out for a year or more, and this one that I got is serial number, what was it? Where does it say? It's serial number 0000674. So, considering this is, I think they're up to the 700s or so. There's a forum online that shall remain nameless that has a serial number database, and they're up to about 700 or so on that database. So let's assume that there's 800, and that's in black, and then 800 in silver. So far in a year or two they've made and sold about 1,600 of these. They're not exactly flying off the shelves. So, and for good reason. I mean, this is a extremely, you really have to have a desire for this lens to buy it. It doesn't check off a whole lot of boxes. But what's interesting about it is the boxes it does check off, it does a really good job, but you kind of have to be nuts to want or have more money than you know what to do with. I'm in the first category, not the second, the nuts category, to justify owning this lens. And so let's talk about it. So first of all, let's start with the negatives, okay? This lens is big. How big? Well, it's about twice the size of the FA Limited, 20 millimeter, okay? So yeah, and then it's heavy. So the FA 20 millimeter Limited, I'm sorry, the 20 millimeter is not a limited. My apologies. The FA 20 millimeter 2.8 lens, which is a non-limited lens, is about 11 ounces. This is 16 ounces, okay? So if you subtract this lens from your bag and replace it with the 21 limited, you're paying a 5-ounce penalty for the difference. That's doable. Twice as big, yeah, it is twice as big. Twice as big, though, however, you got to factor in some of that's the lens hood, whereas the FA 20 millimeter non-limited lens, the 2.8, doesn't have a, I mean, there is a lens hood made for it. Well, it used to be made for it. I don't have it. And if you put a lens hood on there, that's going to make it a little bit bigger. And you really should use a lens hood because in my testing, and I'll show you at the end some of the photographs, this lens suffers from some flare. Of course, that's without a lens hood. I do have a inexpensive rubber lens hood for the FA20, but it vignettes, so I can't use it. So yeah, so this built-in lens hood adds to the size of it a little bit. But it's a very welcome feature, and there's also the HD, the new HD coatings, etc. This lens tends not to flare so much as the 22.8 does, so that's good. The built-in lens hood is a blessing and a curse. So on the one hand, it's really nice to have it built in. You don't have to worry about it. You're always going to have it there. But on the other hand, you are completely limited to 67mm front filters. You can't put an adapter ring and put a 77mm filter on the front of this thing. And I've standardized on 77mm filters, so that's a problem. The 20mm 2.8 FA lens will take the 77mm filters, no problem. So if I decide to keep this lens and adapt to it, I'm going to have to buy 67mm filters specifically for this lens. So that's got to go in my bag. So that's going to add to the size and to the weight a little bit. However, I only need 2 filters, 10-stop neutral density filter and a circular polarizer. Shouldn't be too bad. I probably get away with maybe $50 for the cheap ones for both of them, maybe $100. It'd be a lot of money for the really good ones. But nowadays, the cheap ones like the K&F concepts and all that, they tend to be pretty good. So, so there is that. Okay. Image quality wise, you know, the difference between winning the Masters and being one of another 100 guys that's close is a few strokes. Okay. And that's where we're at with this kind of a thing. The 21mm limited is just that nth degree better. Don't get me wrong, the 22.8 FA is a great lens. Okay, the copy I've got, I've been very happy with it. This is just a little bit better, and that's saying something, you know. But to get a little bit better than great requires like a lot more elements and a lot more weight, etc. So yeah, now is it $1,000 better? Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, this lens used off of eBay I paid $300 for it. I don't know how much they're going for now. They probably have gone up a little bit. The trick is finding a nice, clean, good working, sharp copy. I got lucky. So with this, you just send your money to B&H or Adorama, and a couple of days later it shows up in the mail. So that's a huge plus. The other thing about this lens is it's got that limited kind of a feel to it. The images are thick and saturated, and it's enjoyable to shoot with. My original initial impressions of this lens was it was overpriced for what it is. I still think that's true. However, after I shot with it today for a while, it kind of grew on me. And I was really happy with the images, and I think that it's going to be a lot of fun to shoot with. So there is that. It's also nice to have. I've pretty much standardized on the 31, 43, 77, and then the 20 at the wide end, and then the 70 to 210 F series zoom for my telephoto stuff that I need to do. This is going to replace the 20 in my bag. And it's also weather resistant, which is kind of nice to have as well. So, yeah, and it's kind of nice to have like everything under, you know, everything that's below 77 millimeters is a Pentax limited lens. And that's a lot of fun. There's a certain pleasure that comes from shooting just the limiteds. Like there's no question about are the lenses good enough, right? So, and it's surprising sometimes how they render stuff in a good way. And so that's a real positive. So that's where I'm at with this. This is my initial impressions. It's not really a review. Haven't had it long enough to review it. Didn't expect. I kind of ordered it thinking like, well, the prices are going up, and it's $100 off right now, and this might be, you know, the last chance to get one at what's not a ridiculous price if everything increases across the boards. And I'm not just talking about Pentax. I'm talking about everybody. And so I said to myself, it would be nice to have the full set of FA Limiteds because I really, really love shooting the K1 Mark II for the work that I do for my stills, digital stills work. And so, but when I got it, I was like, it's a lot of money. I'm not sure. But when I shot with it today, it definitely grew on me. For all that money, some of the downsides are that unlike the FA limited 31, 43, and 77, it doesn't, and the 70 to 210 and the 20-2.8, this lens doesn't work on my MX. There's no aperture, so it's useless on my MX. Okay, it's not compatible. So, okay, I mean, it's pretty much a K1 only. I mean, I can use it on my K3 Mark, my K5 Mark II, etc. K33 if I ever decide to get one of those in the future, although, you know, I have other things going on. And but let's say Pentax comes out with a K70 replacement that does 4K video with no crop. All I need is 4K 30, a good 4K 30 with no crop. And I could throw this on there. That would be great. So, yeah, so we'll see. I mean, in the meantime, all I can count on is that this works really well with my K1 Mark II. And so I'm happy with that. And like I said, it's nice to have this set. So, so there it is. Now let me show you some images that I took today running around in the woods. I did a video out in the woods on this lens, but it was kind of negative, and it was before I'd actually shot with it too extensively, because I had just done some quick comparisons with this, and I wasn't too impressed. But then after I got done with all the video and it was hot and everything, and I said, let me just take the K1 with the 21 millimeter. Let me just walk around the woods here and just shoot it. And it was a lot of fun to shoot with, and it wasn't bad. It balances nicely on the K1, and it's nice to shoot with. So there is that. So this is my initial impression video of the 21 millimeter 2.4, and I have to say, you know, I guess I like it considering how flippin' expensive it is for what it is. It's growing on me for sure. Okay, there it is. So that's what the images look like. And like I said, it was a lot of fun to shoot with. In comparison to the 20 millimeter, there's some flare. Sharpness so far seems about on par with the 20-2.8. So that's interesting. Rendering is definitely a hair better with the 21. You know, it definitely has that limited thickness to the images that the non-limited lenses don't have. So that's interesting. And I don't, you know, it's like I said, I just got it today, and initially I wasn't too impressed with it. I just felt it was a lot of money, but the more I shot with it, the more it grew on me. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be sticking around. Particularly when I consider, like with my top ramen, it was 25 cents a pack, and now it's $1. Like if the, you know, camera equipment, it could easily double in price by this time next year, and at that point it's game over. Like whatever you got, you're stuck with. That's how where I'm at. I mean, I'm not. There's no way I could afford that lens at $2,800 or $2,600. Like that's never gonna happen. So all right, there it is. Hey, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you out there. Have a great one. Bye.